All right, welcome everybody to episode 3 of Through the Grapevine. My name's Bren. Once again, going to be hosting this time from a hotel room using hotel Wi-Fi, using my phone as a microphone. I'm joined by the wonderful, lovely group of selection of people that we've handpicked personally for this podcast experience. We've got Sideshow, we've got Harsha, and we've got Jonathan Reinforce Larson, real analyst. He's been on every show, and now we've got him on ours. We're ready to talk about some Overwatch. So what better way to kick it off by talking about LW Blue forfeiting from Apex Season 4 because of this New York City Overwatch League spot. What's the crack with that? Break this bad boy down for me.
What did you think, Johnny, when we didn't realize that they'd been picked up by New York? Did you think they were like blending potentially with the Lunatic High spot or something?
Yeah, I thought they were going to be the subs to Lunatic High, basically, because you get 2 good sister teams, right? But when at the press conference, they were like saying that they were trialing people out. So that's a rip. Like they were trialing Lee Taejun among others.
Yeah.
I'm confused why they'd take LuxuryWatch Blue out of the best environment to improve as a team when, I don't know, this seems like the kind of time you'd want to use to build up their strengths. I've heard they're already in America. I'm not sure if this is the case or not, but like they might be just trying to get them accustomed to living in North America, but I still think that you're forfeiting a lot by moving them over here.
Yeah, it's so weird though, because it does not take that long to acclimatize to living in LA if you're from Korea. I was talking to a couple of the Korean people. I was like, oh, how did you find it when you were over in North America? They were like, you can literally live in LA in like Koreatown, and it's not that much difference. Like, and you're going to be in a house, you know, it's not the same as the Western people when they go over to Apex and they're living out of a hotel or whatever, and they're, you know, a completely different food, completely different environment. So I don't think it'd take that long really to get acclimatized. Instead, what they've done is set themselves up for like 3 months of subpar scrims. And the only advantage is that they're always on the correct patch, I guess. But Apex changes its patches fairly regularly.
They're going to be acclimatized to the conditions, you know, the American ways. It is.
They're going to get fat. They're going to get fat and lazy and shit.
You say you can. I mean, I agree with you all about it. It doesn't really realistically make sense. You'd much rather keep your team in Apex with the highest quality of competition and the highest quality of scrims compared to just move them over. But the only reason I can think you'd do it would be because they want to get it out of the way early. They want to get them adjusted and settled in.
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons, right, that people were pinging me on Twitter about when I was like, I'm so confused why this is happening. One was maybe they're trying to shift their roster. Like maybe New York City aren't content on the exact full LW Blue roster. If they want to make roster changes, you can't if they're in the middle of Apex, right? So potentially, but you're not going to blend them with any Western players. You're going to have to blend them with Koreans because like who the fuck speaks Korean in North America? And then if you wanted to pick up new players, you'd have to like go back to Korea to find them and integrate them into the team anyway. It still doesn't make sense that you'd want to bring them to NA. And the other reason, I guess, is that people, I think Dak messaged me and he was like, Apex isn't the best situation.
Yes,
you know?
it's
not the best for teams. But it fucking is. If you're a local team, like that doesn't have to deal with any of the bullshit. You're in your game in-house, you're fucking scrimming against Korean teams all the time. You're then playing them. It doesn't matter that much that you're going to be on one patch for groups and one patch for playoffs or whatever. The patches aren't that drastic. You're already on like a new patch. People are already playing new. And this is like 3 months before Overwatch League starts. I don't think any of these, like, I'm playing devil's advocate here, but then I'm just shitting on the people that were playing devil's advocate.
The other problem is that you have 2 Korean teams, right? You have LW Blue and Lunatic High, and one of these teams is just getting much better while they play in Apex, and the other team is just coming to New York and presumably just scrimming random American teams. I don't really know what's going on with them.
How viable do you think it is as well to pick up a full Korean team that was, I mean, they underperformed a little bit last season, but they always have been since like
but they also
the end of 2016, like one of the top teams. But how viable is that? This is a new patch, like we've seen in Contenders and a bit in Apex, that people are going fucking up and down all over the place. And New York City just being lazy.
Maybe.
Well, I always had the opinion that if you're an Overwatch League team, it would make sense to me if you brought in a full team. And then you kind of develop that team because you already have the team chemistry and shit in place. I mean, when we created Misfits, we were like 2 players from 3 different teams, and we had no synergy going into that experiment or whatever. So if you pick up a full team, then you can add maybe 1 or 2 players and just go from there, you know.
But who do you add? That's the thing. If you've brought them over to North America, if we exclude the idea of them actually bringing in North American players, because I think that would be kind of madness to shift the entire comms into English or whatever, then the people that you're going to be developing and like bringing in new talent are Koreans that you are now fucking thousands of miles away from and can't actually integrate into the team.
Well, did we establish that they were in North America?
I believe that's the case. I think they said something.
That doesn't make much sense to me, but I would have seen them trialing maybe 1 or 2 Koreans if they were still in.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that also, I think Flower, probably considered by everyone to be their best player, is too young to play in Overwatch League for the entire first season.
How old is he?
He's 17.
Is he like 17?
He just turned 17 though.
So, okay, well that's not. They could probably just keep him signed. I imagine. Can he play as a sub?
You can. So from what I've been told, you can be on the bench and you can have like a bench contract or something like that, but you can't actually be somebody that plays on the team.
Wow. Okay.
But the thing is as well, I think this might be an unpopular opinion, right? But I think that Flower has still yet to perform in like a top match. When you look back at his performance in Apex Season 2 and then in Apex Season 3 as well, almost all of the games he was very underwhelming as like one of the potential star players. And he had like this finger injury, right? But that also, his period of feeling like he had got better from the finger injury was the period of them dropping out of Apex. So he still hasn't played against any good teams and shown really good performances. In Apex Season 2, he was just getting his ass carried by Sabiolbi pretty much the whole time and looked really quite underwhelming on Genji. Then in Season 3, he had like some good performances and Sabiolbi was starting to like drop off a little bit and wasn't just like hard carrying the team. But overall, the team wasn't performing actually that well and they looked really uncoordinated. I've still yet to be impressed by Flower, even though I know he probably is going to be able to do it in the future. I couldn't point to a match now, unless it was one of the World Cup ones where they're just stomping on idiots and say, okay, this guy's a star. I don't think it'll make that much difference that him being taken out of the team, to be honest.
Do you have a different perspective from actually playing against them and seeing them in Season 2?
Oh, me? No. I mean, I haven't seen Flower play that much this season, so I don't want to comment on it. But I mean, he has had a wrist injury and whatnot, and you know, I think he's looked pretty good and like a superstar potential. So, but I don't have much knowledge of recent performances. So.
Yeah, well, he hasn't even played in Apex. I mean, that's the other thing. He's only played in the World Cup. They dropped out of Apex before they even played a game. So it's not like he's even going to have an opportunity. That's the other thing as well. New York City's just taken like a potential awesome team that could have challenged like the other top teams in Apex, and they're just gone taking them away. And now Group D in Apex is just shit. It's just straight garbage. It's like a free ticket for Combox and X6 to be able to get through. If they were in any other group, they'd be really struggling to get through.
And LW management has just been so unreasonable about everything recently. Like the whole Luna drama where they kicked him before the deadline for roster locks, and then they removed the entire team without informing OGN at all. Like they told them. No, they informed them the day before.
What? No, it wasn't even like the day before. It was like 10 minutes to midnight or something the day before. It was fucking mental. Like they had the log up and everything. OGM seemed pissed.
I've been told that.
I don't think have they actually announced a punishment.
What makes you?
I assume it's a fine.
What makes you say they seem pissed?
Because they fucking posted an announcement that was like really shittily worded. Let me see if I can find the announcement. Obviously, it's translated, but they were talking about severe punishment or something.
And I've been told all the Korean fans are just really, really angry at LW, which is not something that they're strangers to, obviously, because of, you know, the whole Pine and Flower drama, and then also Luna stuff.
That drama was mega stupid, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand it, but it's different cultures, I guess.
Sure.
Korean drama, lol. Anyway, let's move on, I think. I mean, we don't really need the statement. OGN are annoyed. Flower, we've come to the conclusion he's a shit player. That's
Whoa! Whoa!
That's basically the gist of what I've grabbed from this. You're like, he hasn't played in Apex. He's only played against poo teams in the World Cup. Not a good player, but whatever. You know.
I just think he's a bit overhyped.
No, I don't think it's overhyped. It's just I don't have the data, recent data to, you know.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any data. There's no data that suggests.
Exactly, but we've seen him in the past.
Listen, Listen. World Cup, right? BlizzCon. We're in the finals. It's UK versus South Korea. Sorry, Jonathan. I gotta say it. It's gonna happen. UK versus South Korea. Flower whips out the Junkrat. Junkrat now has been patched, so he has 4 concussion mines, and he actually fires fire rockets now instead of overlapping bombs.
I thought you were commenting on the recent patch changes, and I was going to say that's just completely wrong.
Flower insta-locks Junkrat every time, and tries to take it in a 1v1 against crews. What ends up happening is, because the recent patches end up breaking the game, they have to play the games offline and end up solving the winners with a dance-off. Team UK are throwing shapes all over the place in the local LA clubs. You know, South Korea, all they've done is play Overwatch. You know, they haven't actually danced.
They're pretty good at karaoke, but not at the dancing.
Yeah. Exactly. So Team UK, by this logic, are going to be winning.
Have you not watched K-pop?
Where I went with that, I don't know how I got here, but we've come to the conclusion. Right, we need to move on.
Let's take a little segue into the World Cup draw, though. I think it'd be interesting to talk about the World Cup draw, because that happened live at Contenders, and it was fucking hilarious.
Scripted, rigged, 100%.
Yeah, it was so good. Literally, we were all of the talent was sat in the green room watching it live, and we were just like, I was praying. I was like, please, for the love of God, let UK get either USA, and if we don't get USA, let them go up against South Korea. And when it got to like the final few draws, I just screamed, yes, yes. As soon as I found out that the US was going to be playing against South Korea, and the whole room was just, oh Christ! CP was in tears. He was in tatters. You know, he was pulling his hair out. He was like, not like this, not like this. Oh, it was incredible.
It does seem like the bracket is, I mean, obviously it's totally random, but it does seem like the bracket has randomly become incredibly stacked on the
right side.
Yeah, on the right hand side. Is the one? I mean, is the UK the only team that would be better than all 4 of those?
You're saying this in the face of Jonathan right now.
I'm just keeping out of this, dude. I'm just
tweeted right here.
I got to that side, dude. I'm happy, you know.
He's learned what happens when you hype up Swedish teams.
Oh boy.
Because for me,
what do you mean?
Nothing, man. Nothing. The Swedish teams recently have been performing.
The most important thing is now here I am. You know.
Yeah,
exactly. Mistakes have been made. It's in the past.
All right. What's your game plan going up against UK?
Well, I'd have to talk with the other members about that. You know.
No.
Triple tank.
This is just reinforces game plan, right? How do you see them? How do you see yourself?
So Swoosh on Winston, me on Reinhardt, and then Manetta on Zarya or D.Va, yeah. And
incredible.
Then Twick just played Doomfist or some shit, and we're just Genji or something. Twick plays what he wants, maybe Tracer, I don't know. And then we just fucking play triple tank into the UK. Swoosh just sits and fucking babysits Cruz. You know, Cruz can't do shit on his Genji, and if he's not on Genji, that's good for us. So
have you realized this is your chance to reinvent yourself as a player now that Swoosh is a full-time tank player?
Yeah, I mean, this is my time to shine.
Winston
creating space for me. You know,
you could put Swoosh on main tank for Team Sweden, and you could become a DPS player.
Yeah,
we could have reinforced DPS.
I could be a Doomfist.
It can work both ways.
Yeah,
I believe it. I could be a Doomfist main. If I practice for like 1 month, just strictly just Doomfist every day.
I think
get on it then, son.
Start practicing before Burbank.
Okay, I'll just go ask Twick, you know. Oh, Twick, can I be a Doomfist main? About that. I mean, you don't need mechanics, right? So.
No, you don't.
Little does Johnny know we're actually trying to set him up for defeat against Team UK. Yeah, go on, Johnny, you can play Doomfist.
That's what you think. Oh, yeah,
you'll be alright, mate.
You haven't seen my Doomfist. Fuck off.
But then you've got Australia and Canada, who, for my money, were like the 2 potential worst teams at BlizzCon are going to be against each other, and then they're facing against. I mean, you got Sweden on that side of the bracket. For me, that was the 3 worst teams at BlizzCon, and they're all on one side of the bracket with UK. When I saw the bracket play out, I was like, I could not have thought of a better bracket for UK to get to the finals.
Should we go through predictions then? Just going around the group. So it's UK Sweden. Put your hand up if you think UK are gonna win.
Wow, Harsha!
Are you for real, Harsha? What is that?
I'm gonna
Do you
believe
really
in.
think Sweden are gonna beat UK?
No, but I'm friends with all the players on the team.
That's the biggest pussy
What a
prediction.
cop-out.
Okay,
Alright, okay.
I can't believe this Harsha
What
guy.
about Canada? Canada versus Australia. Put your hands up if you think Australia will win.
No, okay, I think
By a country mile.
you think so.
Well, no, maybe not by a country mile, but I do think they'll win. Yeah.
I think they look
I think
really
it could be
weak.
a close game.
I think Canada looked pretty weak at the World Cup.
Yeah, well, it all comes down to like Surefour's care potential, right? Because we've seen Tracers in Contenders just fuck people up. So if Surefour can like, come out of the
And Tracers on that.
just, like,
Tracers on that
destroy.
144 tick server.
Yeah, but it wasn't
exactly.
like Shofar was carrying it in the group stages, was it?
No, but that is chance, you know. I'm saying, you know, if they will win versus Australia, Surefour has to like show up and destroy.
I didn't think.
They won't be able to play triple DPS fair and shit.
Well,
you know?
there are two things to consider. I don't think Australia even looked that great during their own World Cup stage, even though they did come quite. I think they tied you guys, right, or something. along those-
No, we won versus them, 3-1.
It was, yeah, it was
3-1.
super close.
But the other thing is, Blank has also just made a roster change where they brought in 2 New Zealanders into the team, so they're not
No,
even
isn't
playing.
it one? Isn't it one Australian, one New Zealand? Who
Something like that.
Who
But-
was from New Zealand?
Yeah.
But
besides that,
the other
like,
guys,
even
Close.
if that's the case, they're not even playing with that same World Cup roster. So, like, I mean, even they thought something was off, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it would be a close game.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I think
would-
I think
I would
Australia
think
can.
so.
I think Australia will take maps, but I think Canada will end up with the win.
I don't think they will.
I don't know.
Australia's
I kind of
bad.
like all the players on Canada, right? But the backline struggled like in their stop. Surefour just Surefour things. Mangachu not the best D.Va. XQC XQC is a pretty good Winston, but when he's just tossed into a random team and doesn't have established synergy, I don't think he is as good.
I think that is the biggest problem too. Like, I mean, everybody kind of hammers on Mangachu, but he did look like the weakest link on that team. And honestly, his D.Va play even on Renegades hasn't really impressed me. So, like,
Well, in week 1, when we were looking through the stats and we were like pulling out interesting stuff, you know, granted that's only 4 maps, right? And they were fairly close, but they lost in the end. But Mangachu was by far the lowest rated player in terms of his overall stats on D.Va out of anybody in Contenders. I don't even mean like anybody on D.Va. I mean like anybody on Contenders.
Shots fired.
he should
Oh,
not.
no, that's not even shots fired. That's like
Shots
look at the data.
fired.
Facts don't have feelings.
It's a good thing Mangachu's not on LW Blue. He
I
gets sacked for the statistics.
oh god, they shouldn't be putting him on D.Va. They should try. I mean, I understand that the meta is a meta for a reason, but like they should be playing towards their strengths, not just throwing him on D.Va.
I agree.
They shouldn't be running D.Va.
All right, well, let's.
What
talk
about the other? What about the other side
China
of the World
versus
Cup
France.
bracket? Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. Do you want to host? Shall I just leave?
Should I move?
What are
you
you
into
doing?
the-
You just by the way, Brent, should we just talk about the other side of the bracket quickly? What's wrong with you? Just get out of here. What are you doing? Listen, right, we're going to the other side of the bracket now. Not because Josh said so, because I said so. All right, as the host of this podcast, it is
Sorry,
my
man,
God-given right.
I bow to your authority.
Right. Other side of the bracket, China versus France. Rogue have been looking slumpy. They've been looking lumpy, slumpy,
Lumpy.
jumpy kind of guys, right?
Lumpy.
They've been looking like lumpy porridge compared to the rest of the competition. China had an easy group, right, in the group stage.
Yeah, they did.
From what I can remember.
I think
I'd probably say China are going to be dominating this one unless Rogue turns something around.
I think Rogue has just looked weak ever since D.Va became more and more prominent in the metagame, and like with the even most like recent patch, I don't know, they just don't seem to have synergy together, and like they have so many strong players on that team, like Soon, AKM, Unco. I think they're all legitimately world class, but the rest of the team just hasn't. I don't think they've been able to perform as a unit, and I think that China might even take this.
I agree as well. Does anyone here disagree with that? The way the Rogue's been playing?
The way that Rogue have been playing so far is pretty shocking. But
Renegades are the
yeah,
biggest
and
throwers in the world, and they still almost tied Rogue. Just putting that out there.
This is not talking about Rogue specifically, but when you get to that point as a team where you're just like down in a hole, it's so hard to like get back to that kind of level without making like something like a roster change or something. Yeah, and like they don't have the best coach either. I mean, they have like Lanfus, who's like a manager, but I don't strictly have a coach. So it's really hard to dig yourself out of that hole, you know. So I don't expect Rogue to, you know, suddenly be like one of the best teams in the world again anytime soon. Anyway.
How the heck have they gone from literally being undefeated to looking garbage and going like 50-50 though? Because it's not just because fucking D.Va's become more prominent or something. I don't think.
Well, I think we saw.
I mean, it is the teamwork, right?
Yeah,
but how does your teamwork just go to shit after months and months and months and months of playing so well?
I think we saw like chinks in the armor though when they ended up playing against Immortals in that beat Invitational. Now, like, to be clear, Renegades and EnVision are not like immortal. Well, I guess we do have to give more credit to EnVision right now, but I don't know. I think that as soon as the D.Va started entering the metagame, they did start to look slightly worse, but this Rogue does not look the same as the one that won beat, even though they had weaknesses exposed there.
I mean, I still think they looked really good in Apex and whatnot. They just had the shittiest group. I mean, like we did in Apex Season 2.
No,
so,
they almost did. They did really well against Kongdu.
Yeah, but then they took this extended vacation after the takeover, right? Yeah. And I just think that in combination with Wins not being as involved anymore because he was playing at QuakeCon and whatnot was like the biggest thing for me. So I think Wins needs to get back and just like, come on, like let's fucking go, you know? Let's hype everyone up. Just get shit done.
Yeah. I was gonna say even at takeover they were looking strong, much stronger than every other team at the event.
Takeover, they look dominant. Like,
they only lost maps to eUnited.
But the thing to keep in mind there is that they were pretty much only playing against good, like, triple DPS teams. Yeah. The teams that they were playing against were really good at triple DPS, not the D.Va-centric kind of teams. Whereas North America's like slowly gotten better and better at the, you know, the D.Va, like the overall team play kind of.
But they did look like exhausted though. Like the players themselves were just tired of competing and wanted to take a break, right? So they took that break, and since then, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like they've had their shit together.
One thing I wanted to ask, Reinforce, was when you were on the team, was Wins like very vocal in calling? Because what I've heard is that essentially Wins and Nox are the two most vocal players.
I think Nox is like one of these very strategy-oriented players, and he likes to watch his VODs and like come up with solutions to how to play and, you know, go deep that kind of way. But I think Wins is more of the leadership kind of guy, you know, tells Anko, AKM, let's fucking go, let's do it like this, and more of a leader. So when Wins is not in the big picture as much anymore, I think that kind of was a big problem for Rogue.
I mean, how much of an impact do you think Wins playing in this QuakeCon? I don't know how long, because presumably he'd had to have been scrimming, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's mostly just not focusing on Overwatch as much. Yeah. Because I mean, Wins could probably go over the VODs together with his team and be like, "This is stupid. You know, we should play like this and we should do this," and, you know, get everyone on the same level, basically.
Oui.
Full time.
So I mean, it is possible when Wins comes back, and if they start focusing a bit more after the QuakeCon, that they start to improve, or maybe they just had like a slow start to it or something.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
So far, it looks like a massive slump.
And knowing these guys, they're not the kind of people who would just be like, "Oh, we're just bad now." You know, these are the fucking most hardworking guys I know in Overwatch, because they'll fucking go lengths to just destroy people. So.
Did you see the Unko tweet about Rogue's teamwork or Rogue's team play right now? Yeah, it's a cat.
It seems like he's tilted and, you know, does want to get out or something. But in reality, I think that picture just like escalates it to a level where they are going to work so much harder now because they're just pissed at the fact that they're losing. So I think it's a big motivation for them, having played Jet 2 games.
All right. Well, sort of related to Rogue in a way. And the fact that they've only ever been really running triple DPS in this 2-2 dive only more recently. But let's talk about the meta changes with Doomfist coming into the play, because that's been a big part. We've had 2 weeks of Contenders to look at.
I fucking told you, you know, as soon as I leave the hosting to Bren, he forgets about one arm of the playoff bracket in the World Cup. He's gone.
Don't agitate him too much. He might knock over his setup.
Whoops! All right. Yep, South Korea versus America. Almost forgot about that one.
To be fair, I don't think anybody's going to say US is going to win.
Is it? Yeah, this is all South Korea, realistically. Unless, I mean, we live in a world where EnVision have beat Rogue and all sorts, but it's just not happening.
So recently, I've just became like a big Kai fan, because this guy has proven over and over that he can bring out weird comps and just like prepare for the toughest games in Apex, right? So I want to say USA has a really slight chance if Kaikai just comes in and just outstrats Korean somehow.
I actually have a lot of respect for Kaikai because I didn't think he was. I mean, he didn't really seem to be doing much during Apex Season 2, and then Season 3 comes along, and Envy changes their entire playstyle. They have all these new set strategies. They're running different compositions and stuff like that. So I think, and like, if you've seen what he's done with Team USA so far, like, he's definitely, I think, quite a good coach, but
yeah, they keep bringing out weird shit, and it's working. And to me, that's a sign of good coaching.
Yeah, it's also impressive to see the motivation levels super high within Envious, because they've been together for so long, and it could have gone so wrong for them in many different ways. But they've managed to keep grinding, like keep improving over the last few months, and they always seem like they're gonna come back into it and still be a super top team without making that many changes, you know. But I think for the Team USA Korea match, there's like two big bands of camps. One is just the die-hard US fanboys who think they're going to wreck Korea no matter what. The other one is just the people like Monty who love to feast on fanboys' tears and think that they're just going to shit on USA. And I after thinking about it a little bit, you know, I started in the Korea fan camp, but I'm starting to stray a little bit more towards the fact that I think it'll be I don't want to say like really close, but I think it'll be a fairly close game. I think Korea should definitely win, but the US does look like one of the stronger teams in the tournament. I think they could make it, you know, some of the maps really close, potentially take a map or two. Yeah,
perhaps. I mean, I do have to say, I mean, I guess this doesn't really matter that much, but last year USA is also the team that looked closest against Korea. It wasn't really saying that much, honestly.
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, compared to the rosters are completely different now, but yeah, okay. The conclusion there is then that South Korea, whilst they are the dominant overlords of World Cup, not a shit team anymore. We've done a 180 on that one. Sideshow's turned it around.
We haven't done anything.
Slightly shit enough to potentially lose the US. Is what we've gathered.
Yeah, I reckon it's like an 85 to 15. You know, if I had to put the percentages on.
Right. Okay. What do you think about this, then, Johnny?
Well, I agree with Sideshow. Keeping it.
There you go. All right. Yeah. Okay. Now we can finally move on to meta changes.
Is that
correct? Do I have your permission? Lovely, wonderful stuff. Let's talk about meta changes. Doomfist, we've had 2 weeks of play in Contenders to talk about. We've seen some comps. We've seen some weird stuff. In Apex, they've been running a bit more Fire Mercy. I didn't see that today with the Runaway Lunatic High game. They didn't run. They ran a bit of Fire Mercy, but they weren't running Doomfist in conjunction with it. And it was only for one section of Nepal village, I believe. But I mean, it's really shaken things up, because it means that now you can play a lot more Reinhardt Zarya compositions. The changes made to Zarya as well. Zarya, meaning her Graviton Surge, you know, a lot more heroes can't just escape out of it. Makes it a lot more valuable. We've seen a big shake-up. Where do you, Jonathan, we're going to start with you here.
Oh, mate.
Jonathan,
the pro player.
Where do you see the meta settling here? Where do you see the meta sort of staying?
I want to follow Korea like quite a bit. I think that the Fair Mercy Doomfist comp is the MVP space made work is one of the better comps this meta, at least for now. So I expect Europe to follow suit pretty quickly. But obviously, I think we're seeing a lot more Doomfist McCree over in Europe and NA, if I'm not mistaken. So I think the meta will develop towards Korea. If I was a coach or whatever, I would just study those comps because I think they're way superior.
It's pretty interesting actually as well, because when you consider like the stuff that the North American and European teams are running, if you look at the pick rates for starters, I think it's something like a 19% pick rate for Doomfist at the moment in Contenders, but it's only something like a 4% Fire Mercy, something like this. It's really, really low. They're only running it basically on like, you know, Ilios, not
the
Ilios,
King of the Hill maps.
Oasis. Yeah, like the classic Gardens and City Center and stuff like that.
For a lot of European, sorry to interrupt. For a lot of European teams, it's we never really played Fair Mercy, so that's a huge switch to just going first pick a Pharah and then add a Mercy to that equation. You know? So that's a huge step for
a lot of the North American teams do have good Fair Mercy combos though within their rosters, but they haven't really pulled it out at all. It's kind of interesting to me. I think maybe one of the reasons is that if you've got Reinhardt Zarya combos on the floor, your Zarya is going to get fed so much charge against the Pharah Mercy, and I feel like you're starting to get to a position where you could just outplay it with the Doomfist McCree Reinhardt Zarya comp, because your Zarya and your McCree are in a pretty good position to deal with both the Doomfist and the Pharah Mercy. But I'm actually really surprised, as you said, that more teams haven't experimented with it. Maybe they have in scrims, but they don't feel confident.
Yeah, I would expect more teams to play more Pharah Mercy, because I do think that you have way more control of the battle. I mean, you can play slow and play poke if you have a Pharah Mercy, right? And if you're facing just a ground comp with Doomfist McCree, then you kind of have to peel and just wait for your turn. But I like having that control of being able to take a fight, much more diverse, I guess.
Okay. Well, speaking of Mercy, she's had some switch-ups in the PTR. She's had a few changes to the PTR. Interesting ones at that, because now almost her entire toolkit has been sort of readjusted. Her ultimate ability is now no clip. She can fly around the map, go anywhere she likes. I need to get this up. Resurrect is now on a 30-second cooldown. I believe when she pops her ultimate and turns into a Super Saiyan, she can do it on a 10-second cooldown, right? It resets and then it's a 10-second cooldown.
That's fucking mental.
Mental change, because already with the old ultimate teams, I noticed today in the Runaway Lunatic High games, they weren't ever really getting 2-man reses. It was only ever 1-man tempo reses. That's what they were using the Resurrect on. This change is going to be ridiculous, because you're going to be able to get constant amount of reses up all the time. And as far as I'm aware, the ultimate still builds at the same rate as Resurrect anyway, which is shockingly fast.
So, I mean, I have like a few thoughts on this. Like, I definitely think she's quite overpowered right now, but I think that a lot of that comes from like the ultimate and being able to change so many reses together in like such a short period of time. I do like the ability of changing her from like a full team res hero to focusing more on like the tempo res style. I think it's just more pleasing to play against. This is like completely from like a playstyle point of view, but like it also kind of takes away from that that just build your ult and then hide and be a bot kind of playstyle. I really didn't enjoy that, and like having to seek out the Mercy before fights start and stuff like that.
Yeah, they made it way better to play against and with. Like, if you've got a Mercy on your team, for example, in ranked,
saving the ult till the next game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the Mercy playstyle was so trash beforehand. At least now you're kind of focused to make, forced rather, to make good decisions. Because the tempo reses in general are going to be better for your team anyway. They negate kind of the first pick advantage. If you wait for everyone to die and then try and res them, you've given the other team like time to reduce their cooldowns and actually take position against you whilst the fight was going on. So if you can just kind of reset back to a 6v6, if you get the first pick, or if you trade kills, you can res and actually have the player advantage. I think she's going to be much more powerful. But this thing where you like res, ult, res, 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 so you have 4 resurrects per ultimate. I mean, for starters, if you're dying 4 times over a 20-second period, you're probably losing the team fight. But this is the kind of thing that's going to make her, I think, super viable and bring Pharah Mercy kind of back quite a lot.
So I do think that they're probably going to play around with the tool set right now, because they've already said they're nerfing her damage, and I think probably they might start nerfing the cooldowns a little bit, because it does seem a bit overbearing right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just put her in like this. Maybe they nerf the damage a bit and then they just put in 10-second cooldown, because Blizzard have just shown to make new changes public and then let the community decide to a larger player base or whatever. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get to see a ridiculous Mercy first couple of weeks before they hotfix things.
Yeah. The fact that you can come in off a stall, switch to Mercy, and just get a res, and then like go back in the spawn and switch to a D.Va or something is really dumb. It's
dumb, yeah.
It's very stupid. So I think they'll have to at some point make it so that maybe when you switch hero, it starts with all your cooldowns off.
It could just be specifically for some hero abilities. Like, it would neuter a lot of stuff on stall, but like when you think about Mercy in particular, she has like the res ability. That seems like an ability you can make an exception for, right?
Is it true that her heal and damage change now when you're in ult?
When you're ulting, yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking retarded. Like, honestly, that's the sustain from that is ridiculous.
It's going to be crazy. I think Mercy is, if she goes in like this, I think Mercy's going to be pretty much a must pick for a lot of these competitions.
Yeah.
Because she's
Especially
so
last
powerful.
Yeah, I agree.
It's pretty insane.
But that's kind of a good thing, because if you've got Mercy's been so shit for so long, like you needed to run her with a Pharah to have any kind of mobility and movement away, and then her ultimate wasn't that great because it would only really bring up 1-2 people in the fight, you know. The healing and damage boost weren't that good. So I like the fact that they've taken her, completely reworked her, and now she'll be a viable pick. And she won't, like before, if you just buffed Mercy so that she had to be picked, it would have been a horrible thing because nobody enjoys playing against her, where she just has to hide in a room and get big reses. But this sounds like it'd be more fun for the game as well.
Yeah, well, one thing I want to change, which we haven't pointed out, is that when you ult, right, you continually regen your health.
Oh,
right?
that's dumb.
So,
Winston can't kill her.
So it's as a Winston, you can't kill a Mercy anymore because you can't just.
Wait, you literally can't kill a Mercy?
Because you know how she has passive HP regen after 3 seconds of not being damaged or whatever. So when you ult, you don't have a cooldown on that. It just constantly is regenning.
You constantly just regen health, and the regen is insane.
Yeah.
So
that's
something they have to reverse.
And you just
also
nano
the
booster.
fact that you can fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's way too fast.
Can you foresee nano boosted Mercies? I could foresee like a DPS
in ranked. I don't know about
Mate,
honestly, it's so strong.
If I was coaching the team, I'd put them in that, to be honest. Because if she gets unleashed into the game with this current toolkit, with her current damage numbers on her pistol and
they
stuff,
did say
just fucking slam a nano boost on her, make her pop her no clip, and just go pop around the map, just killing fools all over the place.
We saw all those like
She's
gambler
nuts.
clips of him doing that rather, but they did say they were going to nerf her damage. So
the thing is,
dead.
there's no way of stopping her. Like, there's no way of actually going and neutralizing her and stopping her in the air. Most of the ways that, like, if you've got a Pharah or something, it's like a Pharah on crack that can move way faster and, like, move all over the place. Doesn't have to, like, slowly float through the air. But then also has, like, consistent small damage. You could just fucking send a Mercy into the backlines to force their support ults and then still return. Because she's just got so much mobility. So they need to nerf the damage for sure. But I can still see situations where it would be better to use the ult aggressively, you know? Because if everyone's stuck on the floor, she's got, like, the most mobility of any hero in the game when she pops her ult.
Okay, well, another rework that has not quite hit the live patches just yet is the D.Va patch, which means they made some adjustments to the defense matrix, which a lot of people were calling about for quite some time, particularly Taimu. Very vocal about that. But they've changed it now, so the defense matrix, it lasts 50% less, so you can only hold it down for as 50% as much as you would on the live patch. And also she's got built-in miniature nuclear missiles. You know, little missiles that burst damage. I haven't actually
Nobody said they were nuclear.
You made that up.
I don't think...
no, I didn't make that up.
Yeah, I don't think the Koreans are going to be big fans of, like, the hero shooting nukes at people.
I mean, her self-destruct is a nuke.
If anything,
is that supposed to be a nuke?
No, if anything,
South Korea doesn't have any nukes. This goes completely against the law.
No.
She overloads the nuclear reactor to blow up her machine. That's what she does.
In the future, when the US dismisses NATO and says, everybody, just nuclear proliferation is the only way that you're going to be able to save yourselves against the North Koreans.
There is no NATO. There's only Overwatch.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Overwatch is the NATO. And
Bloody
she's part of
Trump.
Overwatch. They get nukes.
Bloody
Trump. Right.
Yeah, it does seem like
but the micro missiles, they're called micro missiles, right? You can I've dropped my fucking microphone, haven't I? They're called micro missiles. You can shoot them while flying. And from what I read, they're quite hard to land, all of them, but it's about 280 damage in total.
Didn't they nerf that?
They nerfed it.
I thought they nerfed it from
it's less now.
Yeah. I think it was like 160 now or something like that. But that's just from the missile. So obviously, if you like fly, boop somebody, continue shooting at them, micro missile them, and then slap them in the head. That's still a crazy.
The combos shift melee, and then and you can fire while you're pressing shift now, and then you just use the micro missiles. So I think that they might have nerfed Matrix a bit too much, honestly, because it did keep a lot of things out of the game. But the other thing is, like, you still kill flankers or ruin flankers' day, but it's like a different kind of in a different kind of way. Instead of just neutralizing them, you're just kind of straight up jumping on them and killing them.
Well, I kind of like to change it.
You do?
I just think that the defense matrix should charge up continually and not take a break like every time you use it or whatever, because it increases the uptime just a bit.
So you mean like okay, I see what you mean. I think
well, when you use defense matrix, it takes a while before you start charging it up again, right? But if you just charge it up continually, I think it'd be better.
I think one of the changes they could have made is to like promote more skillful play would be reducing the downtime between being able to use your matrix like after it goes on cooldown, right? But I think it is a necessary evil kind of, because you do need a window for Tracer or something else to use their abilities while your defense matrix goes down. So I don't know how they would properly balance it, but because the matrix is so short now, I feel like you could probably give D.Va a bit more power in the matrix, whereas before it was just way too strong because you could just keep it out the entire game pretty much.
Winston is going to have a fucking nightmare now, I think. Because
for two reasons.
When you had like aggressive D.Vas in your face, you're like, it already does a ton of damage to you. Now they've got the micro missiles as well, so you're going to do tons of damage. And your own D.Va can't even peel for you that.
Exactly. So like it hurts you both from their team and from your own team.
Yeah, but if you get used to the missile damage, you can kind of play around it in the same way. You just get less uptime where you're Tesla gunning people.
Yeah.
But I still think you can play the same way. You just have to be more cautious. I don't think it's a huge change to Winston.
You got to remember as well, though, this is the D.Va changes presumably are going to be coming in at the same time as the Mercy changes.
Yeah.
And that potentially has that potentially could replace like Zenyatta out of these comps, which is normally what your D.Va player, your Lucio player would peel for you, and like what Winston would and that again, taking the Discord all about the equation, teams are gonna have to decide realistically, unless they want to run triple support, whether they do want to run, because let's face it, Lucio realistically, is he ever going to be taken out of the meta when he's the only hero in the game that can provide a speed boost? I don't think so.
Well, we're pretending that Mercy is a support when she's not. She's a DPS, as we've seen.
DPS now, so yeah. Okay.
I think we could see more Mercy or Anna and Sun comps. I think we could see less Lucio on certain maps with the Mercy changes.
I think one of the big things for Lucio as well is that not just the speed boost, but he like can also protect his other
boop and the speed boost for peeling.
Yeah, boop, speed boost, like the healing boost, stuff like this. Whereas with Anna Zen comps, you're super easy to dive onto.
So that's why Mercy is so hard to kill. So if you can play something like Anna Mercy, I think that would maybe be realistic on some maps, but we're yet to see.
I guess that's actually fair, because you don't really need to peel for Mercy in any sense. So you don't really need that Lucio, do you?
It's so hard to peel for Mercy anyway. It's pretty much only the defense matrix that can actively peel from Mercy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's the reworks that haven't been added into the game yet, but there was a patch that was added quite literally a few hours ago, where they've added in quite a few changes. The most notable ones being Junkertown now has 2 mines. His rip tire moves 30% faster, and when he's climbing walls with his rip tire, it no longer uses up the time.
You won't see any more Taimu rip tires.
Yeah, 13 SR rip tires. But that's not the only change as well. There was, hopefully it's been included here. No, don't think it has it? All right, let's see how good my memory is. Orisa. Projectiles move faster. I think it's about 25% faster. Or is it 30% faster projectiles? Is it 20?
20, yeah.
The barrier is 20% bigger, and the barrier is now like concave, so it protects the lower area more. That's for Orisa. For Widowmaker, her cooldown on her grappling hook has been brought down from 12 to 8 seconds. I think that's the only change. And now wall hacks, right? Yeah. And Roadhog, which is the most daft change out of them all, I feel like, because again, it just doesn't solve his problems.
Yeah.
Is that he can now walk around while healing and takes 50% less damage while he's healing.
I only have 2 comments on this. Like for one, Roadhog, they're trying to move him towards more of a tank role. That's what the developers have said. And this change doesn't make any sense, because you're still, like, yes, while you can soak up more damage, you're still just feeding ult charge. It doesn't really solve his problem of actually being a tank. Like, body blocking in this game doesn't work unless you somehow make an exception for Roadhog where he's basically like not just giving the opponent ult charge, I think. And the other thing is for Widowmaker, I feel like you don't really want to buff her, because she's still very good at what she does in that she can still get picks and like was already doing really fine in the meta. But then when you buff her, you run the risk of just seeing top level Widows like ruining games by just picking off people one by one, right? So, yeah. And this is more for not for pro play, but like I guess for competitive games. And the other thing about her is you're taking away that window where Genji could kill her because he has the 8-second dash and she had like the 12+ second grappling hook?
12, yeah, 12
seconds. Yeah, so I think it was kind of a weird change. I would have preferred they try something like 10 or 9. Just give a little window, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think Widow is going to be way better with that change. But I think the Roadhog changes are kind of cool, to be honest. Because he puts so much pressure on the enemy team. So if we see more tank-oriented comps, I think Roadhog actually might see a place in the meta. At least cheese comps or something.
Yeah. Do you think he's worth, like, I don't know, replacing another hero when he's... I feel like he's in that spot where he's doing just as much damage as he's doing good.
Yeah, pretty much. But what I like about Roadhog is that, what I said, like he puts so much pressure on the enemy team, and so you force the enemy team to do things they're not necessarily used to. So I think Roadhog being less of a DPS and more of a control type of hero, if that makes sense. Because by spamming shields and by spamming so hard, I mean, his damage is not bad. It's
just, right.
Still good. So I think EnVision ran time on some Roadhog.
He told me that
yeah, they did.
He actually told me that he thinks that Roadhog is only viable on the first point of Gibraltar and nowhere else in Overwatch.
Yeah, well, with this change, I think we might see more of it, to be honest.
Yeah,
I quite like it. I quite like the Roadhog change. I think before, when he was when he tried to heal, when he was taking a breather, he couldn't move. You could still do a lot of damage to him, and so with 2 or 3 players focusing him down, he's kind of a free pick every time he goes to take a breather. And now he's exactly the opposite. It's like if you try and focus him while he's taking a breather, you're fucked. You're going to have like 4 players just shooting into somebody that's never going to die. And then the rest of the team's got so much space to be able to like counter onto you.
Yeah, exactly. You can peel so well. Like versus a Tracer or a Genji or something, and you just spam your left click or whatever. I think you're dealing a ton of damage. So over time, because of his sustain, he will be able to do so much more throughout the team fight.
So
I think it's pretty good on like areas where you just want to take space. He's just going to be like a real big space creator because he can just walk forward, take all the aggro, like do damage, and force the enemy team to like go back because they still need to shoot him. You know, they can't just let him walk past him.
Well, I don't disagree that it's like a straight buff to him, right? But I think that it's just kind of like a weird direction they're taking with him, where he's not really a tank and he's not really the DPS kind of thing. So, I mean, I guess it's cool that he's a unique hero and he still does do that role of hooking people and like being somebody that can CC and do quite a lot of damage. But I don't know. I felt like he had a cool role with just the one-shot combo, and then they're moving him away from that to try and make him more of a different role, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's like a better Orisa in my opinion. So, but I still think he has a good role and shit. So you know.
Yeah. One thing I could foresee Roadhog in this metagame is teams are trying to find a Doomfist option, like a counter to him. And we see a lot of teams running McCree as a result of that, mainly because you can get flashbang in. Wow, I can't use my mouth today. Flashbang in and focus him down, right? But Roadhog now being a lot more tanky, you know, his hook, yes, you can't one-shot with it, but it's still a fantastic CC ability,
right?
And for changing the positioning of a hero, which honestly, in you know, if you think about it, Doomfist has got a pretty big hitbox. You know, it's not a particularly hard target to hit with your hook, so you could foresee. I could potentially see him being ran in those sort of compositions.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when he's got like his rising uppercut thing and his seismic slam, where he's just stood still for a while. You know,
yeah.
He's got mobility. He can move in and out of fights, but he's kind of he moves very quickly from one space to another. Yeah, and there's windows to be able to get onto him. And McCree is so good, not just for the flashbang, but because your damage is like burst damage, right? It's not like Soldier 76 where you have to track him and he's just got like fucking mad movement. You can just, when you see a window, you hit him and you do whatever the damage is on McCree. I don't actually know it.
70,
but
140 for headshot.
You know. So you could do a similar thing with Roadhog, I think, where you're just you're able to do that. But also, if we're talking about patch notes for today, something they didn't list is that the Doomfist change has gone through, I think. Where his
really?
Yeah, it has.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That actually might wreck
is a
them.
big change.
It's a huge change because it's no longer a massive freight train. It's like a tiny. You do have to be very accurate with it, and that's going to be live for Contenders week 3.
I've been told that it actually might kill him, because I didn't realize this when I was just watching pro matches, but the biggest way that you see people killing with Doomfist is that they actually come in from above and use a punch and hit people above like their hitbox, right? Because I mean, his hitbox was just so massive that if you connected above them, it would still do quite a lot, or it would still actually hit them, right? Whereas now you can't do that, and so people were telling me they think he's dead pretty much. I don't know if that's the case. I think it might be an exaggeration, honestly, but there are a lot of combos that you won't be able to do.
It's weird, right? Because he's so powerful at the moment.
Yeah.
If you look at how many kills he's getting like, what was it? An average, right? This is even the players who are shit all the way up to the players who've played in the best. He's getting an average of 30% of the team's kills, which is like if you're playing a phenomenal tracer. Like a really good tracer is going to get like 30 to 35% of your team.
That's like effect level, I think.
On average. Yeah, effect is actually slightly larger because the rest of his team don't get as many kills. But yeah, somebody like Logix or Snillo or whatever is getting like 30% team kill, which is the same as what these guys are doing on Doomfist. And he's got a crazy win percentage. He gets first kills all the time. Is like a massive first kill to first death ratio, because you're just throwing out this one hit ability, and if it connects, you've got to pick, and if it doesn't, then you've got the escape mechanism to get out. So I think even if they nerf him to the point where he's not getting first picks as often, or he doesn't have as much killing potential in the fight, and potentially like you miss a punch and you end up in somewhere where you end up getting picked off, I think he's still going to be pretty powerful. He's still going to be like a decent hero, I think.
All right, Johnny, any thoughts on this?
Nah.
Doomfist man Johnny.
All right.
I'm gonna hide my strat, bro. Hide strat for this guy. No, I still think we'll see use of him. So, cool.
All right.
Especially for teams like Gamers Origin, who've literally built their identity around running Doomfist. Like, they're not going to run away from it now, are they?
This is their. It's the. I just forgot the phrase, so forget it. They've made their bed and they're going to lay in it.
There we go. That was it.
Yeah,
We just had to give them a bit of time.
This is the cream of the crop.
Cream of the crop.
Cream of the crop.
Cream of the crop.
My goodness.
Godspeed, Leaf.
Cream a la crepe.
You know, my little sister, right, genuinely thought, you know the phrase crème de la crème, the crème de la crème.
Yeah, sure.
My sister thought that was a type of cream. She
made from cream.
My mum told her to go into the shop and get some cream, and she asked one of the ladies what kinds of cream they had. She said, I know that it goes like single cream, double cream, whipped cream, clotted cream, creme de la creme.
Jesus.
It was fantastic. Like, in her head, that was the hierarchy of cream, and it ended with like this super thick, delicious, like ice cream texture, the creme de la creme. Incredible.
Thank you, Sideshow. Thank you for that story.
That was great.
That was a good one.
It was really great. But we're here to talk about Overwatch. There's no fun allowed. The Grapevine. No fun allowed. No, right. Let's talk about Contenders. Let's move on to this factor. We've noticed Doomfist has had a massive impact in the way some of these teams are playing, and also a massive impact in our predictions for Contenders. Time and time again, a lot of the teams that we thought were going to be performing incredibly well have actually just been performing like a wet flannel. To put it lightly, there's been upsets all over the place. Week 1 and week 2 have been nutty when it comes to some of these teams winning upsets. Off the top of my head, EnVision Rogue being one of them. What are we thinking? Okay, let's talk about EnVision Rogue then as a matchup, as that sort of match. We've already talked about Rogue to a degree. We've probably talked about it to death as to why we think they're in a slump. But EnVision, a lot of people are like, oh, it's Rogue playing bad. Is it EnVision playing a lot better? Because remember, week 1 they had Christopher, week 2 they had Numlocked. What is it? Is it a mixture of both?
I think it's both. I think it's both, because So I thought at first that you could consider that maybe kind of like a one-off showing just because Rogue looked really bad. But I think after watching them against Immortals, and like keep in mind, I think Immortals did struggle in that matchup as well. I think EnVision has clearly found an identity. They're playing really well with the metagame, and Jaru just looks really, really good. The other thing I wanted to say is that I think that McGravy has improved his like individual play. Now he's like matching up with Grim Reality, matching up with AKM. So I think that the team overall just improved. I don't know if it like. I don't know. I think it might be the easy answer, but I think that's what it is.
It just sounded so funny when you compared McGravy
to AKM,
Grim Reality, and then there's AKM. You know, like
Grim Reality,
you haven't heard us like 3 months ago.
Oh, did I do that with my hand? That was completely unintentional.
Just pretty weird names here, you know. McGravy, Grim Reality, AKM. But yeah, I buy it.
Yeah. The hierarchy of DPS players, much like Cream.
Like Crème, Crème de la Crème.
It is weird watching EnVision beat two of what people would have thought coming into it, at least on paper, to be two of the top three. Yeah, but EnVision, I think, don't look like they're better than FaZe, better than Envious. They certainly don't.
I think that they
don't look like they're better than Kungarna even. Well, I mean, I think that's actually quite close, and maybe EnVision would be better than them. I've been impressed with their DPS duo and in general, like the coordination of their team. But for me, they've like taken maximum advantage of Rogue and Immortals, both not quite understanding where their place is in North America right now with all the changes and stuff. And EnVision have just improved to the point where they've got 2 really great wins now, and they should be looking for a playoff spot.
Yeah,
possibly in like 2nd, 3rd place if they manage to like clutch out some win against Kungarna or FaZe or something.
I think they really
just look like they hit their prime.
Yeah,
like that's all it is. You know, they've played together for so long, and then it just one day just clicks, and this is just EnVision. You know,
it's like
you add Jaro into the team and change up the tank line.
It's like that old selfless lineup that was losing to like tier 4, tier 5 teams, and then suddenly becomes 2nd in NA like over a week.
Yeah.
But I mean,
well, it's not like I think that EnVision is this very good strategically or, you know, have set plays or whatever. I just think like everyone carries their own weight in a really good way, and they just play well off each other. It's similar to Envy in a sense, because Envy, while they do have set strats and stuff like that, they just, when you watch Envy play, it just everyone plays so well off each other, and it's a different kind of play style than playing, you know, set plays or set dives or whatever. So
I think EnVision's for real and probably going to jump into playoffs with like a 3rd or 4th spot. I do agree with you that I think Envy and FaZe are probably the top 2, clearly.
I think Kungarna FaZe is going to be a really interesting match.
I think FaZe should win.
I'd still give it to FaZe. But Kungarna FaZe and Kungarna Immortals and then Kungarna EnVision, all of these games are going to be super interesting. Because Kungarna, to me, just look like they're just like a solid team that don't clutch things, but they just don't make as many mistakes as other teams.
What has really bothered me about Kungarna is the fact that the studio is now starting to use more and more first person, and now they're just focusing on Michael so much. And I swear that there's just so many fights where he just does nothing, and then the rest of his team just wins the fight. Like, I don't know. I don't want to.
He's a team player,
man.
He's a team player.
He's also
Eska 2.0.
He's also the loudest mouth on the team, dude. I really want to see more out of him before I like get on the Kungarna hype train. But I do think that they're probably going to end up in the playoffs as well.
No, I do think you're overrating them like quite a bit, because they've only beaten FNRG, FE, and Renegades.
Right.
So that's not super convincing to me. I still think that they won't make playoffs, but maybe 5th or probably 5th maybe.
Who's going to beat them though? If they're not going to make playoffs,
do you expect Immortals to make it?
4 teams above them, like Envy.
I expect Envy, FaZe, EnVision probably beats them. Immortals probably even beats them.
Yeah,
that's like. EnVision and Immortals would both have to beat Kungarna, and while I think that's within the realms of possibility, I don't think that's like the most likely scenario. I think.
Well, that's good, because then I'll catch up to you and predict.
That will never happen.
Oh, okay.
Have you guys cracked 500 yet?
Yeah, I was positive for a while.
Really?
Now I'm 500.
Also, what was the Kungarna EFE that messed it up?
This is the first time not the first time talking to you, but since being in America, this is the first time I've heard people say 500 to mean
it's a baseball
like
thing.
level 50-50.
It's a baseball thing.
Yeah, but even then it means 500 out of 1,000. It doesn't make sense to say.
Well, yeah, it does mean it means like because they use 3 decimal places in baseball, so they say instead of 0.500, it's just 500.
But if someone says, most of the world uses percent, right? It's like
you're not in most
50,
of the world. You're in America.
Fair enough. I know. I've realized that when people say it's 77 degrees outside, and I wonder if I'm going to boil today. I know that this place is weird, Harsha. But what I'm saying is, why does it then like creep into betting odds and like going even and stuff? It's super weird to say.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about the McGregor Mayweather fight, and people were like, "Oh yeah, the odds are like 700." Like, what does that mean? 700 to 1? That's incredible. But no, it just means like 0.7 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
That's odd. That's really odd. Yeah, your country's weird, Harsha. That's the point we're going to be gathering from this one. But in terms of upsets, we can talk about, I guess, eUnited on the EU side of things. They've been underperforming. You could argue. Yeah. That is because they've had players away at the World Cup.
Don't make excuses for them. Don't make excuses for them.
I'm not going to. I'm going to let you do that.
I'm not going to make excuses for them either. Their coordination just seems off.
Yeah, way off.
Super off.
It's hard to explain because they just come back from World Cup and then they just suck together. I mean, it's kind of in a way what I talked about earlier, that they're not playing well off each other, and I think they're trying too hard to establish team play. When a lot of teams, they just go into game and they just play individually like they would in ranked, and they don't think too much about the teamwork. But versus Cloud9, you just saw United trying to play like they were, like they had insane team play or whatever, but they just didn't play well off each other because they like overthought about it or overthink about it.
But they don't actually have the skill to be able to just go toe-to-toe with some of these teams. Like, for all the hype that Value Tire gets, it's been a long time since he's been one of the top tracers in Europe, I think. He's been outclassed for a while now.
He's had pretty good statistics, hasn't he?
Yeah, he was top 3 last season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're full of shit, Sideshow, to be honest.
Who was his top 3 when you had...
Okay, well, you have Logics, you have Davin.
Logics, Mistakes, Davin, Craggy. Well, no, Craggy actually wasn't up there, but he's like...
I'd probably say Valu... Last season, maybe Valu, Logics, and Mistakes, top 3.
See, but the thing is, for me, the way that I'd always thought of eUnited was like they were much better than the sum of their parts. Like they had put together a group of people that were all pretty good, but they'd managed to form a team that actually performed really well, and their synergy and their coordination was always superb, and they managed to outplay these other teams based on their teamwork rather than just based on outskilling. And now I feel like they've lost that.
Because even Unfixed has always been a pretty good soldier, and Cruz has been a really good Genji. So they've just maybe not like top. Maybe they haven't had like top players on every position, but I still think like all of the players are really good and they just play well with each other. So I don't think they're bad. I'm not gonna underrate the players. Yeah.
I think if they wanted to go just like scrim style, they would end up getting beaten though. I think like one of their strengths was the fact that they played well as a team. And if they try and go scrim style against like Misfits, they're gonna lose.
They're gonna get destroyed.
Gigantti, they're gonna lose.
Dude, Gigantti had
1, 2, 3, they're probably gonna lose as well.
Gigantti lost to the best team in Europe, I think, but I thought a lot of their problems were actually exposed in that match. Like Fraggy and the rest of the team just did not seem like they were coordinated at all. In fact, I think almost every fight Fraggy was just going in alone and dying. I think maybe it's because Zappis is so new to the flex role, so maybe he and Fraggy don't have like the full like coordination down, but they should because they've been playing forever together.
Is this Misfits you're talking about?
I'm talking about against Misfits.
Yeah, against Misfits. I still think they looked really good. Because they brought it close to Misfits.
Well, I thought in
every
particular
map was pretty close.
I thought in particular Linkser looked really, really good. Like
I think everyone looked pretty good.
Everyone looked good.
Maybe I know it's hard. I didn't. So when I'm talking about players, you can watch the VOD and you can break down the team pretty roughly, but you have to rewatch it and look at specific players to really evaluate how good they were. But no one stood out as really good or really bad to me on Gigantti, in my opinion. I just think they performed well overall. And they brought it really close to Misfits, which was impressive.
Oh, this meta game does kind of suit them, doesn't it? A lot more Reinhardt being played. Fraggy's in his comfort zone.
Yeah, it's just a question like how good is Sapis, right? I think Sapis has to prove he's a good Zarya to match up with Fraggy. Because Mathu was always good on the Zarya, and then you had Himsy on the Roto.
So if I was to peel your top 4 predictions in each region out of every one of you, starting with you, Josh, Sideshow Gaming, Wilkinson.
Not my alias at all.
I do like this
What
because...
would you say for NA? Sorry, Harsha. Yeah.
No, just the way this works out is you looked into Sideshow, but because you're looking into like a Skype monitor or whatever, and you're not at the overlay, you just looked at yourself.
Okay. Top 4, I think the people that are going to make the playoffs in Europe, Misfits look like the best team of the...
Right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do NA first for everyone, and then we're going to do Europe first, then go...
All right. Okay. So I think EnVision are going to take the first place spot. I think FaZe are going to take the second place spot. Do I believe that Rogue or Immortals are going to come back? Who else is it? Kungarna and EnVision have both had good starts. They would have to lose quite heavily, and Rogue and Immortals would have to start doing really well. Immortals have played... I think it's going to be EnVision, FaZe...
It's so hard. I'm sitting here cosmic on my mind.
Someone's gonna make a Super Saiyan gif.
Fuck! I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's hard. It's hard.
It's super hard. I think fucking... I'm just going to write off Rogue and Immortals, okay? But either of them genuinely could come back and do it. I think Immortals are more likely to come back than Rogue are. But I'm going to say it's like EnVision, FaZe, Kungarna, EnVision. That's my top 4, I think. Maybe Immortals sneaks back in. I'm not writing them off completely.
Right. Harsha, what do you want?
I'm going to go with a pretty similar lineup, but I'm going to say EnVision, FaZe, and then I'm going to say EnVision takes 3rd and Immortals takes 4th, because I don't think that... I have a feeling Kungarna won't be making it to the playoffs. I think they'll end up in 5th, even though every time I underrate them, they end up doing better. But I'm going to stick to my guns and say Kungarna goes 5th.
Oh, God. Okay, envious face, right?
Yeah.
First and second. And then, fuck knows, man. These matchups are going to be really hard. Do I expect Rogue to win versus FaZe in Immortals?
See, the problem is, if we talk about this, so many teams that started 0-2, they haven't even played FaZe yet, right? So maybe or Envy. Immortals hasn't played. Immortals did play Envy. Rogue has not played Envy.
Give me a prediction.
I'm going to go 3rd place. Wait, 1 second.
He's pulling up the...
I'm looking at the matchups, okay?
That's cheating. I had
How is that cheating?
My head.
Okay, so okay. I'm going with 3rd place. I'm going with I'm going with EnVision on 3rd place.
Ooh boy.
Oh boy.
I'm 4th.
They have got 2 big wins early.
Yeah, exactly.
Then I'm going with Rogue for 4th.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
Right. I think that I mean, we're all occupying different timelines at the moment. I'm occupying the timeline where both Rogue and Immortals both continue to shit the bed. Immortals have like started slow, but are still gonna wreck everybody. And Johnny's just like, I fucking know these French kids are back in.
Well,
come on,
they're all
get angry, fuck them up.
My problem with this is that Rogue has to play Immortals and they have to play Envious. And they have to play FaZe, don't they? They have to play all 3 of those teams. So I think they have the hardest road to making it to the playoffs.
It's going to be almost impossible for Rogue to get back.
Yeah, Immortals did lose to EnVision, but so did Rogue. So.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Immortals have a slightly easier
my prediction. Are you ready?
No one cares, bro.
Are you ready for my prediction? I'm telling you anyway.
Okay, go on.
Get a choice. Envious, number 1, of course, right? Now here's where I go against the grain a little bit. Here's where I'm going to be taking a bit of a left wing, but then it's actually a right wing, and there's a rising uppercut just to follow that.
Oh my god!
I'm thinking here, EnVision 2nd.
EnVision 2nd place.
What? I know we're in Denver, but what the heck, Bren?
Bren's been on some of that good shit.
Listen, EnVision second, okay? FaZe. People are going to be clocking them soon enough, right? They're a good team, they're a solid team.
EnVision, nobody could get a read on them the entire season, according to you.
Fucking quote me on this, right? Quote me on this, right? Just quote me on
You know what the stupidest thing is? You know what the stupidest thing is? He's gonna be right.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen.
And FaZe will be third, and fourth seed, I think, is actually going to be Immortals.
Maybe.
That's my prediction.
I just think
do you want to put some money on the line here? Should we put a tasty 500 or whatever the fuck they call it in America?
I'll take a Chipotle order.
Chipotle order. What was your prediction? I mean, we've got recording evidence of this, so if none of us are correct.
Wait. No, the best way of doing it is to say which of the top teams we think isn't going to make playoffs, right? Because we've all got broadly the same, and the numbers don't make that much difference. But I thought the Rogue
and Immortals
won't get into playoffs.
I said Rogue, Brent said Rogue, Johnny said Immortals.
And you all thought that Kungarna wouldn't get into playoffs, right?
Yes.
So I had Kungarna in there instead of Rogue and Immortals. And you guys...
Yeah, I don't think Kungarna...
So what are we putting on the line here?
Chipotle?
I mean, I'm not even there, so
we'll mail you.
We'll
buy Chipotle, put it in a backpack and mail it.
Get 1 day shipping, please. I don't want to end up with like a week-old burrito.
All right.
Decide, because I want to have a talk about this. You know, you have to decide on something.
Go on.
Yeah, well, why do you think Immortals will make it back?
Why do I think?
The way I see it, I think that they brought in Hype to fix communication issues, right? So someone can communicate with Fate on Wednesday.
Do you mean Envy?
Oh yeah, they brought in Envy, right? On the off-tank role. And I think they clearly don't have enough teamwork and chemistry with Envy. And Zarya didn't look that good at all.
I do agree.
So I think they're downgraded on the off-tank role. I don't think Grim Reality is a top tracer. And so Agility is also kind of slumped. I mean, he gets good Dragon Blades occasionally, but he's not top tier Genji either. So I just think they've shit the bed completely this season. And if they kept Hype on the starting lineup, they would have looked better in my opinion.
I do think that there's
Harsha, did you say Immortals were going to be in as well?
I said fourth.
No, I said fifth.
Fourth?
Yeah, I said fourth. Johnny said fifth.
Me and you said Immortals going to be fourth.
Yes.
But I think Immortals as a team, I'm not even basing it off sort of their in-game shit, right? Immediately Johnny's looking at me.
I thought
doesn't want to hear it.
I thought you were about to say I'm not even basing this off reason.
And a lot of it is, right? A lot of it is not based on reason. My thought process is that Immortals as a team are very like militaristic in their sort of style, with the workouts, with the practice, with their schedule. And I think if there was ever a team to turn around a sort of slump where they get off the back of these defeats, it would be Immortals, because they've got that mindset already. They're the one team I think with the most emphasis on that, and they've had good performances in the past. I don't see why they can't.
They went 4-6 in Carbon Series and ended up winning the tournament.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they've done it in the past before.
They are notoriously slow to start out tournaments. They didn't even qualify for Contender Season 0 on day 1. So yeah, that's all like old history. Like if you look at old history, Rogue has also been one of the best teams in the world. Renegades always starts out tournament strong. Well, not this time. So like it's hard to base stuff off of that. But at the same time, I think that Immortals just needs more time to make sure they can gel. And I think that you're right about they're not looking like they're like coordinating well. Like Fate looks really disjointed from the rest of the team. Even Kariv, to an extent, I would say hasn't looked like he's been communicating with the team well. And I think that it is a bit weird because they did put Envy in, for that communicative role. I don't know if they're gonna change up the lineup and put Hype back in or something like that, but I do think that if you give them time, they should be able to fix this. The problem is they don't really have that much time. They do have a lot of matches coming up, so it will be hard. But I think ultimately I should have faith that I think that they can beat the lower tier teams in America, and I think that they can come back and perhaps take the fight to Rogue.
All right, good talk, guys.
They're actually gonna play. When do they play Rogue?
They play Rogue last week.
No, what?
Week 7.
The
week
last
6.
week.
Yeah, the very last week.
Last week of Contenders.
Right.
No, Immortals play Rogue on this week.
Wait, really?
It says on Liquipedia, it says 3rd of September.
Yes, they do.
Interesting. Okay.
So I hope Wins comes back from Quake and just whips the fucking boys. Let's go, man.
He might be shot calling for the wrong game.
Yeah, maybe. Get Mega.
Let's focus on
Get mad.
the EU side of things. Unless you guys still want to talk about the NA side of things,
I think
the
we're good.
predictions.
No. Give me Europe.
All right. EU predictions. Joshua Wilkinson! Let's get your top 4 predictions going, my boy. Give me it now. Lay it down. Lay down the law. The top 4 teams you think are going to be in EU.
Here we go. Number 1, uncontested. Misfits got that on lockdown. There we go.
Boom.
Number 2.
Straight up.
Okay. All right. Give me a second. Who are the teams that have looked good so far? Gigantti looked good. 123 looked good. Gamers Origin looked good, but I think they're going to start to drop off. Who else is there? Who else are the good teams?
New Cloud9.
Oh, New Cloud9. They're a fucking dice roll rice doll.
Right, actually, we haven't actually talked about the new Cloud9. Let's talk about that before we jump into EU, because that makes more sense. So Cloud9 have just said, fuck it, right? We're just going to shuffle everything, because week 1 was shit. Let's see what happens now. Week 2, they've gone into it, and they're on the
Okay,
game.
one thing I heard, and I'm not sure if this is true or not, was that Kib is being punished, and he's not actually out of the team. They're just punishing. Yeah, given the "Who are you" treatment, as in they've benched him for the week, and
what, for being cocky or something, or do you mean for underperforming?
No, for saying something. I don't know. That's just what I've heard.
Oh, and it just so happened to align perfectly with him shitting the bed utterly on Tracer.
Well, why are they? I mean, he doesn't belong on Tracer, to be fair. But at the same time, Nevix performed quite well, I think, during that last week, and that roster looks actually really sick. And if that's Sinatra working on Hotel Ping from what you guys are on right now, playing from Georgia all the way on EU servers. So
yeah, that guy's god.
Yeah, that roster looks really, really sick. But I don't know if this is going to be their permanent roster as a thing. And it could honestly just be a favor to Cloud9, because I do know that Legit RC, who is their analyst, was the old Selfless Gaming coach. So, I mean, he might have just asked Sinatra, hey, can you fill in for this week?
Well, that changes everything, honestly. If Sinatra doesn't carry on with this team, or they don't have another top tracer...
Sinatra's on the team.
No.
Let's just assume he's going to be on the team for Contenders.
Okay.
Assume he's on the team? Why would we do that?
What? For our prediction.
Easier for predictions, you retard! Come on! Get with the show!
You've just demonetized us, Bren.
So, yeah, I think Sinatra over Kim was by far the biggest difference for that entire...
I do agree.
Yeah.
Space over Crème's probably an upgrade, but I don't think it was that.
Space looked pretty good, to be honest.
I
got a couple of good ones.
I would agree, but also... because Crème's wasn't on the role he's used to, right? Where he's usually just a Soldier 76 bot, whereas now he has to play D.Va and Zarya, not even Zarya. I guess Sinatra's playing the Zarya, but yeah.
It wasn't that game changing though, bringing in Space or Neptuno. I thought the massive difference
was Sinatra, yeah.
Somebody who's a god on Tracer compared to doing nothing on Tracer. Yeah. It makes a huge difference for the team.
If they do continue with this lineup, I think they can be quite good, and I think potentially a top 2, top 3 team.
All right. Well, now that leads us in nicely into the EU Contenders prediction. Starting with you, Josh. Hit me up. Misfits number 1, number 2. What do you think? What do you think?
All right. Misfits number 1. 1, 2, 3. Number 2.
Okay. Yeah.
Gigantti number 3.
Do you have faith in your eUnited boys?
Yeah, I'm gonna say eUnited number 4, because I think Gamers Origin are gonna start to drop off. I think as people figure out how to play against that composition, and also with the Doomfist nerf, I feel like Gamers Origin are gonna start to drop, and pretty much any of the other top 4 teams have also got that composition that they can play into them. Like Misfits are gonna beat them if they play that comp. I think 123 are gonna beat them if they play that comp. Gigantti are probably gonna beat them if they play that comp. eUnited, they've already... Wait, have they already beaten eUnited? No, they haven't played them yet.
eUnited has lost to Cloud9 and Gigantti.
Yeah, so I think eUnited, if they get their shit together, can sneak back into a 4th place spot, but they've already started quite weak, so I'm going to put them in over Games Origin, I think. That's my prediction for the top 4.
You want me to go?
I'm still thinking about shit.
I was really just contemplating life for a second then, but Harsha, you go ahead.
All right, I think Misfits undisputed #1. This is actually quite difficult. I'm going to say Gigantti actually takes the #2, even though I did make a point about talking about their communication. I think that they are... I mean, they're just going to improve from here on out, and they did play the hardest opponent of the entire tournament. I think 1, 2, 3 is going to take that 3rd place spot, and it's so hard between Cloud9 and United for me for #4, but I think I'm going to go with Cloud9 just because... I mean, assuming Sinatra's on the
if Sinatra leaves the team, your prediction's ruined.
Well, so is yours.
So, yeah.
No, it's not, because
you didn't
include Cloud9 because I have no idea what they're going to do with their roster. Listen, you can't come back at the end of the season and go, well, I thought Sinatra was going to play. This is your top 4, Harsha. This is you on the line. Yeah. Your predictions, your whole analysis, reputation.
All right, wait. Who has Cloud9 played so far? They've played eUnited and they've played Misfits. Okay, I think they played 2 of the toughest teams, and they've beaten United. Yeah, I think I'm going to say Cloud9. I think United is going to falter. It's just a bit weird because United and Gamers Origin, who's gone 2-0, I almost flicked off the camera. But it's just weird seeing those 2 names out of the playoffs. But I think, oh man, there's so many things to say about this because like 1, 2, 3 and Gamers Origin have both just beaten up weaker competition, so we don't really know their level, I think. Yeah. Whereas the top dogs have all played against each other. So, but yeah, I think I'm going to go with the lineup that I proposed, where it's Misfits, Gigantti, 1, 2, 3, and Cloud9.
1, 2, 3 has looked so dominant over Bazooka Puppies and Singularity.
But see, it's Bazooka Puppies and Singularity. That's my thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I agree with you, but they look so impressive, so you don't want to count them out.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. So hard.
Hit me up, Johnny. Hit me up.
Hit him up, Johnny.
I'll go with Misfits #1, of course. Johnny is a problem reinforced. Fuck, what do you get for second? I don't put that much faith in Gigantti, right? Because they always fall short.
They're gonna break my heart.
They always fall short. Yeah, and can they go up against fucking eUnited and Cloud9?
They did go against eUnited.
Oh yeah, they did. No, did they?
Yeah. 3-1.
They've already played against eUnited and Misfits, so they've had like 2 top teams. Can they beat 1, 2, 3? Can they beat Cloud9? Can they beat Gamers Origin? Those are like the 3.
Yeah, they're facing Gamers Origin next week, actually.
I think they've got that. I think they've got that in the bag.
Gamers Origin has shown mastery over that composition, though. But if people are able to figure out the answer.
Did you see the Asus ROG final? Gigantti took steaming shit on their chests. And yes, that was before they had Hardest and Leaf in. So they had 2 different players, and it was before they switched out their Lucio as well.
But they've entirely built this team around Leaf now, or at least their playstyle.
Yeah, but the whole style is still the same, and it's not like, I don't know. I still think they're going to lose that game.
I'm going with Cloud9 for #2.
Wow!
Whoa! Okay.
At least I know there will be one person placing below me.
Yeah. Whoa. They did beat the United, and I think that's a big game changer. I do think they can beat 1, 2, 3. And then it's if they can beat Gigantti, which Gigantti, as I said, I don't put a lot of faith in them. Like I love their players to death, dude, but they always seem to fuck up somehow. When they need to show up. So I'm going with Cloud9 #2. For #3 spot, I'm going with fuck man, eUnited has really shit the bed.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
The good thing is they've played mostly tougher opposition. They only really have Misfits to worry about, and 1, 2, 3.
Exactly. So can they come back? You know, I'm gonna put eUnited at 4th, okay? And then at the 3rd spot, for me, it's 1, 2, 3 or Gigantti.
Or Gigantti.
Yeah.
You've got a wacky top 4.
What do you mean wacky top 4?
Kind of crazy.
You've got both Cloud9 and eUnited making it into the top 4.
No, I haven't said eUnited makes the top 4.
Yeah, you did. You said they were in 4th place.
You just said 4th place.
Did I do that?
Yeah.
No, fuck. Oh,
what?
God.
You can take it back if you want.
Yeah, I'm just... This is so wild.
You've got Misfits, Cloud9,
Yeah.
Blue, and then you said United, but you can take that back if you like. Who are your third and fourth?
Okay, I'm going third, eUnited, and Gigantti fourth. And 1, 2, 3 doesn't make it.
Ooh, spicy.
You were the guy just telling me about how good 1, 2, 3 looks.
Oh!
So dominant, you know. You can't take them out of the running. They've been smashing these teams. They look so impressive. They're gonna finish in fifth.
Yeah, but they're playing United this week, right? And I do want to believe that United wins that matchup.
Listen,
It's a must win for
tell you
United.
what's gonna go down.
Fuck,
First
man.
place, Misfits.
I thought he was going to say
Cloud9.
United. Oh my
Okay. Second place, 1, 2, 3. Right. I think that's honestly probably very safe. Third seed. I'm gonna go with Cloud9,
Oh boy.
and then fourth seed I'm gonna go with Gigantti.
No, United.
No United.
No United, no Gamers Origin. Okay.
I can't even remember my top 4 because it was just so crazy.
Okay, no. You said Misfits, then you said Cloud9,
Cloud9.
and then you said you said United.
Gigantti.
Gigantti and United. No, he said United then Gigantti.
Yeah, I think yeah.
Okay.
1, 2, 3 looked really good. I mean, Tonic is a great main tank. Snillo looked amazing as well. But in the long run, I just don't feel like they have the manpower for it. I just don't believe that much in Finzi and Hafikul when you compare them to like the players on United or Cloud9.
Are you TF2 nerds just gonna take that? He's just bashing your friend.
I mean, Hafikul is an egotistical, kind of guy. Anything I say if I start saying he's good, he will just he'll print it out on his wall. The picture of me with that quote.
I mean, at this point, I just let him have it, because he hasn't had shit going for him in Overwatch. So I just let him have it. He was right for once,
Honestly, if he finishes in fifth, he'll never escape the mid-tier meme. Because they went from second in Season 0 to fifth as soon as they had it. Yeah.
Dude, Snillo has looked quite good.
Finishing in second. Snillo has looked sick.
He's
a born gamer. That's why I think it's you really shouldn't count them out. I think they're gonna make playoffs for sure. Actually, I think they're probably gonna make it in second or third.
I think they have a quite good chance.
I do think I underrate them a bit, but I can't make the prediction they're making.
Okay.
I just don't
What are the stats like with Snillo and Tracer compared to the other Tracers?
Snillo's Tracer's pretty good. I can pull them up actually because I was just looking at them earlier. But
I assume Logix is number 1, right?
Yeah, Logix. Well, actually, I haven't looked, including week 2 and week 3. Sorry, week 2 and week 1, but certainly for week 1, he was by far the best. Yeah. Snillo has 30% of his team's kills. He's sat at an average of 13.5 kills for 5 deaths. That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, gets quite a large amount of kills with this pulse bomb.
And the thing is, they're running quite a lot of triple DPS, so I think that's even more impressive.
He gets first kill a lot. He also first death is a little higher than most Tracers. But yeah, he's got really good stats.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Well, okay. I mean, have we wrapped up contenders? We've talked about the predictions, talked about the upsets. I feel like there's not much we really need to add on unless somebody feels like they need to interject.
Can United even get third?
What do you mean? Can they get third?
Well, they have to play against Misfits.
It's possible.
They have to get.
They need to win all of their games, right? Because they're gonna lose the Misfits, and they have 3 losses.
Yeah. It's rough.
And then who are they playing against?
Then they also have 1, 2, 3. They have they played Cloud9 and Gigantti, so they do have 2 major roadblocks out of the way. But they have to play 1, 2, 3 and Misfits.
Gamers Origin, Singularity, Bazooka Puppies. Those would be their 4 matches left, right?
Yeah.
And so they'd have to win all 4 of those. I think they're pretty much guaranteed against Singularity and Bazooka Puppies. They would have to beat Gamers Origin and 1, 2, 3 to get. Maybe that would only get them the 4th spot as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't. That's the thing. That's the thing because
it's statistically impossible outcome.
I gotta fucking change that up, dude.
Dude, both
to go with Gigantti for third and United fourth, then, I guess.
Both Rogue and eUnited have just screwed themselves by slumping so early because they have to play all the toughest teams down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, actually. Rogue, Immortals, and eUnited have all started super poorly. And those three were like playoff lock-ins, if you're judging by paper. At the beginning.
Two of those teams were considered... Okay, I guess you'd have to consider Envy one of the top two, but like Rogue and eUnited probably considered top two lock-ins for sure. Weird to see them slump so hard.
Definitely.
Okay. Contenders is all wrapped up. One talking point that we talked about in the previous episodes of Through the Grapevine was the World Cup and the idea behind these super teams being formed against pre-existing teams and how they performed coming up to this. Given that we're now into the playoffs, we've got the seedings and stuff, we can take a deeper look. You know, we all basically thought that it's going to be the teams that have been together for a long time, you know, like France with Rogue, Australia with Blank, you know, these teams that are an entire team themselves would have had a massive edge over the teams that hadn't had enough practice time. But that hasn't actually really been the case. You know, you've got teams like UK, Korea for one. I mean, no surprises there with Korea. USA been playing very well, and China. Just to list some, basically, of these super teams that have gone above and beyond what people were expecting of them. Now, is this going to be the way forward with teams? Is this going to be the new future of Overwatch, building rosters around these super teams? Sideshow, you wrote an article on this about how, you know, it's not long-standing rosters that win tournaments; it's roster changes, right? I'm probably butchering that, but
might I add?
No, that was the gist of it.
Might I add that Sideshow wrote this article and then thought that France would be the best team in World Cup.
That's true. Do you know what my justification for that was? Like, if you make roster changes, here was my thought process beforehand, right? It's changed now, but my thought process was, if you make roster changes before a big tournament, knowing what the patch is and knowing like how you're going to build a super team together, it's going to be really sick. But over the long term, if you've got a roster that's locked in the entirety of the World Cup for like months and months, probably having a more long-standing roster that's going to be able to play together and potentially more like patch resistant is going to be better in the long run. But that seems to have not made much difference. And basically just getting in fucking sick players is the way forward.
Who would have thought?
Which we've seen from Contenders. You know, Cloud9, they just shake up everything and just literally head into the barber, just fuck my shit up, fam. And suddenly, they're Gucci, they're golden, you know?
Same with Misfits. I mean, Misfits changed players at the beginning. They literally put in like star players on roles. You know, you can't say the same about Swoosh, but certainly Logix and the fact that they picked up Zuppe and moved Zebasai over. You know, the roster changes paid off for almost all of these teams. EnVision, they pick up Jaru, they pick up a new main tank. They look so much better.
What about that supposed honeymoon period where some teams are supposed to look better towards the beginning and then problems start to show themselves more?
Yeah, well, it's like what I said earlier. Like, players just play their own game instead of doubling down on like shit, trying to work strategy and play too much together as a team. So when you just throw a roster together, people just play their best without having to think twice. And I think that's huge key. Just being able to play deathmatch right. I'm botching this so hard.
Do you think?
I'm tired.
Do you think?
I'm just rambling.
Do you think there's some like stagnancy that comes from staying together for too long?
Yeah, well, in maybe like 3 weeks, I think Cloud9 is gonna question shit and be like, should this player go here? Should this player engage from this position? And then when you change up those small details, it just fucks everything up really, because then you have players relying too much on teamwork and stuff than actual individual skill. So I do think there's a honeymoon period where just people play deathmatch, ranked kind of style, and it just pays off because everyone is so good.
Just reading into what you said there, though, you've said that teamwork fucks up teams.
Yeah, if the players aren't good enough.
Why would that be a thing? Like, can you explain why trying to make your team play better as a team ends up with worse performances for a lot of teams?
Because I think that there's a lot of people that don't grasp teamwork as well as they just grasp playing ranked. So a lot of the top team Koreans, obviously they have the teamwork aspect nailed down and they have great coaches and whatever. But if you take just a random bottom tier Contenders team that doesn't maybe have a super good coach, they'd be way off better just playing like it was ranked and just playing FFA kind of.
So
rather
these
than
players have
implementing bad strategy.
These players have like an intuitive feel of how to play the game and just kind of understand it based on the feel of their play. But as soon as they start to engage their brain, they mess it up for themselves.
Well, also,
yes, exactly.
I guess like lower pressure as well when you're just entering a team for the first time. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, EnVision, I think is just on Cloud9 right now because they have momentum going for them and everyone hates them.
Did you say EnVision is on Cloud9 right now?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a thing, right? So
Laser Kittens are not on Cloud9 right now.
So I think EnVision are doing well just because they're mad at everyone looking down on them, you know? They're just like, fuck it. We are this good.
Focus Congo. Focus Congo.
What is it they always say? Keep sleeping on us.
Keep sleeping.
Keep sleeping on us. And they just get pumped going into the game.
Keep sleeping on us. Incredible.
Incredible.
Do you think there are advantages to having a roster that's been around for a long time? Like if a roster doesn't work after a month, is it gone? Is it waste of time? Because you guys stuck with Misfits for a long time.
Months. Yeah, well, I'd say 2 months maybe. I had a lot of faith in that Misfits for a very long time.
The other thing about Misfits is that you had role swaps as well, where you had Nevix originally on the Ana Mercy flex support role, and then moved him to yeah.
Well, that kind of works similarly, right? We did it because we could, but mentally it works the same as like a roster change because it's a fresh start for all the players, and that's what you need. Like you need players to reset mentally once in a while. So that's why I think, for example, Nevix will be a much better player on Cloud9 than he was on Misfits because after a few months, I think he started feeling lost in his role, and he just needed a fresh start to be able to reset as a player and start, working on a new path, basically.
What about teams that are super teams that like were formed with big, heavy hitters, for example, Rogue? If they need to make a roster change, or if they lose their mojo, how do you get it back? Like,
well, I think
do they need to make a roster change?
Yeah, well, I think they pretty much have to. I think. Wins maybe can guide him in the right path when he gets back from KCON, but you need a kind of reset bottom. You need to start from a fresh start. You can't just be like, oh, we're 0-2 and now we're gonna be great.
I think there are clear strengths and weaknesses on their team. For example, like you have Soon, Unko, and AKM, who are all top tier, like world class players at their roles. And then when you look at the rest of the lineup, I wouldn't say that they're all world class at their respective roles, right? But then you take a look at other people. Nox is one of the most vocal people. Apparently Wins is, but I guess I don't really know how impactful he is. But what if you moved like Wins to that coaching role, moved like what they did with Kolsty, where they brought in Kolsty, who I think is probably a better Reinhardt than Nox, and then moved Nox back to the Lucio. I don't know if Nico honestly has what it takes to be on this team, because while he's looked really good on the Genji, his D.Va play has looked like decidedly poor. I think they shouldn't be trying to put AKM on D.Va as well. I feel like they need a better flex player, but I don't know.
I'm pretty fine in the flex department. I'd look to get a new. If you had to make a roster change to get a fresh start, as I said earlier, I think you have to look at the main tank role. But I don't know if I'd put Nox or Wins in a coaching role. I think Nox knows the game better, but at the same time, I think Nox is a better Lucio as well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you kind of want the leadership that Wins brings to the table, so it's a very hard change to make. But if they looked at making a roster change, I'd bring in a Reinhardt-capable main tank player. And by that point, I think all the players would feel like, it's a fresh start for us and we can start from ground zero.
Can I actually
It was weird, actually. Yeah, go on.
Well, I just want to find out what your take on Kolsty is, because I've only really seen as Winston.
Yeah, in the European scene, he was known for being one of the most aggressive Winstons. He'd jump in and actually quite die a lot because he'd make room for.
I've actually heard they call this a Kolsty.
Yeah, some teams actually call it a Kolsty when you jump in as Winston, super far deep. He's a very aggressive Winston in that sense. So. When I think about Winston players, I think that most experienced and top-tier Winstons, in my opinion, are more defensive than aggressive, and just has to work on nailing their aggression rather than nailing their defensive position. Because it's pretty easy to be aggressive Winston, just jump in and die pretty much. So Winston that stay alive the longest, in my opinion, are the best Winstons, and they just have to adjust their aggressive style. So that's how I consider Winston.
It's weird as well, though, when we saw Rogue try out some different stuff in their game against Renegades, because they came out with a Reinhardt and soon on Doomfist. What else did they have? Did they have AKM on McCree? I can't actually remember.
Yeah, they did, and they also tried. They've tried so many things, dude. They tried AKM on Doomfist on the first day.
Yeah, but they there was something else that they tried there. I can't even remember what it was. Was Nico playing something else?
They did switch off from either, you know, they used their old composition where they had AKM 76 on offense and then Nico Genji on defense, where they'd rotate the D.Va.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to start kind of fleshing things out. Maybe they're just going through this kind of rough period where you've given up playing what was best for you, and you're trying to broaden the composition or the style that you're able to do, and you have this real rough period in the middle, and then once you've actually got it nailed out, you come out the other side looking decent. I feel like that's what EnVision did for a while. You know, they picked up Mickey, and they just instantly gel, and they look like a really sick team.
But at their worst, EnVision was never losing to Tier 2 NA.
No, that's true, but they
were definitely a worse team around like Apex Season 2.
Who did they lose to? Did they lose to Selfless?
EnVision has never lost to anybody other than Rogue and NA.
Really?
Yeah. Outside of like Beta, Cloud9, or whatever.
Yeah. And then I think the lowest level team that they've lost to is like X6 when they
exactly.
Junkertown. Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, but they did look like they had a slump where they were trying to add all the strategic shit into their team, and then they came out the other end of it looking far better.
Yeah.
And Rogue have always been a team that haven't had this synergy or the teamwork or the strategy be their main focus. And if they're trying to add it now, if they're trying to broaden people's compositions, I think it's natural for there to be a dip in form while they add that. But
I think that's fair.
That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to peak at the end of Apex, the end of Contenders, and actually be able to hit a playoff spot.
They also seem to be a team that didn't really have plays or things like that. They just more played on instinct and like having that set 3 DPS style. And I guess now that that's more or less ineffective, I think, you could be right. They might just come out better on the other end now that they're experimenting with stuff.
I don't ever think they will be as dominant as they were before, but I do think they can get back. And
that would be pretty hard, though, wouldn't it? I mean, they were.
Exactly.
Were they the most dominant team in the West? I mean,
yes.
You could make an argument that EnVision had a longer, in terms of matches, they were on something like 57 for 0 or whatever. But they were playing it in an era when it was
when there were weekly tournaments,
all online. And yeah, there's weekly tournaments where you're just like smashing scrubs for 3 rounds before you get into the quarterfinals.
Sure, but it was also a more diverse meta back then.
Yeah.
Rogue just dominated playing pretty much a single comp.
That's true.
Right, yeah.
Right.
I expect them to be good again, if not top.
I'm going to prompt a question to all of you. Starting with you, Harsha. Is roster changes the way forward then? Is that the way? Is that the key? Is that what Rogue needs to change up? Is it a roster change, or do you think they can stick it out as this long-standing roster?
It's hard for me to answer this because, first of all, I don't even want roster changes to be the way. Like, imagine how weird it would be for every time a team is slumping, the immediate answer is you need to replace somebody, right? Why can't you just get better as a team? I don't know. Maybe that's kind of short-sighted of me. I guess it does happen to an extent in sports where you have trades and stuff like that. But as of now, it does look like roster changes are what really rejuvenate teams. It doesn't look like you're just magically going to get better outside of like very few examples, I would say.
So is it the same question for everyone, or are you gonna?
Yeah.
Can I add to this topic?
Or you can add you can jump in and add in if you want.
Yeah, well, because instead of roster changes, I think moving into Overwatch League, you'll have 12 players, and you'll always compete with someone for your spot. And I think everyone will be more motivated. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's going to be a game changer. I think in many ways, what Cloud9 is doing now with their roster, just adding a bunch of different players, everyone is feeling the pressure in a completely different way and takes scrims a different way as well. So I think if you always have people to compete with on the roster, I think that's the way moving forward, rather than roster changes overall.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think for teams, especially that are looking to build towards Overwatch League, the question is, do you want to actually pick up a solid team now, or do you trust that you can build a better team? I think for some cities, they're going to build a steaming pile of shit. Like, if they try and build a super team, some of their super teams are going to be straight garbage. But some of them are probably going to be excellent. Because even if you're an absolute idiot and you're building a team, if you just fucking... If you just say, I have an Overwatch League spot, come and try out, you've got the amount of people you need, and then you just fucking throw them at the wall in various different combinations, and you can... Even if you're an idiot, you can tell like when a team's doing well because they beat other teams that are good. So even if you're a moron, you should be able to construct a team that at least has good results when you're trialing.
It's that old saying, if you give a gorilla a typewriter at an infinite amount of time, he'll at some point construct Hamlet.
Yeah, I mean, they don't quite have an infinite amount of time, but they also don't need to construct Shakespeare, you know? They can construct a limerick for all I care. That'll probably do if you're trying to get into the Overwatch League with a decent team. It's been interesting actually looking at Immortals because they've said they don't want to change up their roster that much. And yes, historically they've been like an organization that have been able to ride their slumps and come out the other end and still improve. But if this is the caliber of Overwatch League teams, and Cloud9 is another caliber of Overwatch League teams, Envious is in there as well, there's going to be a big difference in terms of where some of these teams are at. And you're going to have teams probably like, I don't know, like 123, Gigantti, who's a FaZe, although they might have an Overwatch League spot, you know, they've got a lot of money there. They're not quite as small as the other two. But you're going to have teams in contenders that are probably going to be better than a couple of the lower level teams in Overwatch League. But some of them, you know, I thought that there wouldn't be very many good teams in Overwatch League, and it actually looks like the sheer allure of playing in the top tournament has been enough for these organizations to actually make good teams.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, none of you realistically answered my question in any way.
I said yes. What are you talking about?
Okay, Harsha was the only one. Everyone else just.
I gave it a twist.
Points. Give it a little bit of a twist. That's fine. You can do whatever you want. I gave it a shake. Honestly, there's no actual rules here. I don't know particularly what I'm doing. I don't know why I get invited to host this time and time again. But
you just happen to be in the hotel room
with a tablet.
Right place, right time. But I think the gist of that is, you know, it'd be nice to think, you know, teams can stick it through and can work through their differences. But it seems in the short term, at least, roster changes are the way. That's the conclusion. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think I've said that for a while. You know, you need to fucking.
All right.
What a profit! What a profit!
You look at this man, this god, Josh Wilkinson, overseer, farseer of the Overwatch scene.
Thank you. Yeah.
Listen, right. Let's talk about something a bit more casual, a bit more fun. Let's talk about Junkertown as the new map that's come out onto the scene. Boom, slap it down. It's going to be the 4th escort map. It's there. What are we thinking about this? I haven't actually seen the map, but the cinematic was hilarious.
I fucking loved that cinematic, man.
It was so good.
People were complaining about it though, weren't they?
It was fine.
Were they?
I'm sure people were complaining. I read Reddit and they were saying like it had too many vibes of it wasn't as serious. I think people enjoy like the May short, you know, where it like digs in and gives them like serious personality.
They gave another short. They made up for it.
Yeah,
it can't be too
bad.
Made
a May short,
but I don't think they needed to make up for it. The fucking Junkrat short had me creased.
Yeah,
it was
so good.
Amusing.
Johnny's just sat there in silence because he actually hasn't watched it and doesn't know what Junkertown is.
I've seen it. It was fun for a 12-year-old.
Whoa! What?
Edgy.
It was fun. Fun times. But yeah, like a new escort.
I didn't think it was that funny.
It was okay.
It was like catered to Mercy Mates or some shit.
What are you calling me? I loved it. It was like classic, gave me very much like TF2 comic vibes.
It does look like TF2, doesn't it?
TF2's.
The first part of the map. It does look like a classic TF2 map.
Yeah, classic TF2. But not even the map, just the cinematic as well. Very much like the TF2 cinematics, very jokey, lighthearted.
Yeah, because it was funny and didn't take itself too seriously.
They're from a less.
The lore turns me off when it's like too serious. When it's like talking about the fate of the universe and the heroes, and they're like struggling with their inner demons and stuff. I'm like, right, okay, it is actually just video game characters, you know. It's not that serious. I can't gel with them on that kind of level because I don't know. They look goofy. So I find it more intriguing when they are just.
All right, here's a question. What's your favorite Overwatch hero when it comes to lore? Let's start with you, Jonathan.
What? That's the most insane.
Reinhardt, probably. He even named himself after it.
What the?
I just wanted to see the reactions coming out of your faces. We're going to turn this into not a competitive. We're not going to turn this into a competitive podcast anymore to talk about the Overwatch competitive scene. We're going to cater to /r/Overwatch from now on, alright, guys?
We need those.
Every week, I
just
want everyone's favorite lore moment.
I just googled Overwatch heroes. I can see them all.
Googled?
Google.
What's your favorite character based on lore?
He named himself off after Reinhardt.
I mean, D.Va's pretty cool, right? But
Korean, of course.
I think Gigantti has a pretty cool lore, you know?
Yeah.
What is Genshi's lore?
He was put together by Mercy. Mercy built him into a half-man, half-robot cyborg.
I can't even tell if you're taking the piss.
No. Hanzo.
No, I'm not. Genuinely.
Hanzo's his brother, and he cut him up, and then Mercy puts him back together.
Hanzo cut it. Hanzo doesn't even have a sword.
He cut him up with his bow and arrow, dude.
Come on!
Edges are arrows, you know.
Okay, all right.
And then he trains under Zenyatta.
Yeah, I knew that bit. All
right, Harsha, what's your favorite lore?
Yeah, I like Genji mostly because I have to pick him away from Bren, so I end up playing him a lot.
Oh, fucking copycat.
Josh, what's your favorite lore?
Junkrat. They have the same hair.
Yeah, Junkrat. Yeah, let's go for Junkrat.
You look so uncomfortable that I'm asking you this question.
I have no information to judge this from, right? I literally know the most vague, tiny bits about these things.
Give me a character and I'll tell you about the lore.
Fucking Reinhardt. What's his lore?
He's a German knight.
I know he's a German. That's not lore.
He's a German knight. And he is one of the people in Overwatch.
He was part of the Crusaders back in the Omnic Crisis.
The Crusaders back in the Omnic Crisis. You know, you saw in the Bastion short cinematic.
Crusaders.
Yeah, there was.
They had the Balderich armor, and that's like his leader's armor, but it's dead in Eikemab.
Yeah, you know, like
dead on the throne of Eikemab.
You know, like in Star Wars, they have the rebels and the stormtroopers, right? Well, in Overwatch we had a bunch of Reinhardts and then a bunch of Bastions, and that's how it went.
There were just lots and lots. So what happened to all the other Reinhardts?
Reinhardt is the only known Crusader left alive.
Yep,
the only one left.
Yeah, the last Stormtrooper.
Wow, rest in peace.
Or Rebel, I guess.
Give me another one. I'll test you.
Unbelievable.
I can't even think.
Symmetra.
Symmetra. Oh, jeez. Right, she was raised in the ghetto. She was raised in the gutter, right? And she was picked especially and educated in the ways of this light forming technique shit to become an architect because she was a prodigy at it. And that's her backstory. She was like a poor street urchin child.
She's also been officially diagnosed as autistic by Jeff Kaplan.
Yeah. That's also true.
I don't think the law doesn't say that Jeff Kaplan was the doctor that diagnosed her.
Dr. Kaplan.
You just mean that Jeff said she was autistic, right? Jeff didn't diagnose her. Presumably,
he could have made
her. Probably no.
He could have made a cameo.
Yeah, sure. It's just Jeff.
Stanley.
Okay, Bren. Torbjorn.
Oh my God.
Torbjorn was a genius, right? This man was making robots and shit, and he was doing it for Overwatch, but he hates Omnics. He hates them. I know he's a racist.
He builds them, but he hates them.
No, he builds machines,
he's like a self-loathing engineer.
Life forms.
So what, did Sweden go from being like super tolerant to incredibly racist as the timeline of Overwatch continued?
I'm
I don't know. All I know is Torbjorn. I'm sure there's some racist Swedes out there. I mean, we hang around with Johnny long enough.
I mean, there's
that's just slander. I just want to put it out there before he has to defend
That's not
himself.
true. That's not true.
Not true.
Sideshow. There's a difference between like a regular car, you know, and a fucking Transformers car.
Yeah, you prefer
Yes,
the Transformer.
Wait. If that was all we were debating, then I would quite easily say that yes, that is true. But what's your point?
But yeah, he doesn't like sentient machines.
Okay.
But
He doesn't like the cars that are alive, but he likes the cars that just drive when he makes.
Yeah,
Oh, I
he
see.
also
He
has
doesn't make
loads
Omnics.
of kids. No, he doesn't make Omnics. But
Oh,
another
I
fact about
see.
Torbjorn is he's got fucking tons of kids.
The guy's a player.
What?
He's got loads of kids. Yeah, there was like a comic of the Christmas time, and he had like 10 children.
Wasn't he just dressed up as Father Christmas? Weren't they just random kids?
No, they were his kids.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's
Yeah.
correct.
Torbjorn is a player, man.
From what we know about
Or
Swedes,
he might just be settled down with a nice family, you know, and
Oh,
just
yeah.
be,
from what
have enough
He can still be a
financial
player,
security
he
to be
settled down
able
with
to
a
raise
family.
10 children.
from what we know about Swedes, they've gotten much smaller. Or Tavik has just ruined the gene pool.
Pretty fucking small.
He's gonna watch this and give me so much shit. By the way,
Speaks ruined the gene pool.
look, all I'll say is
You got
being
a
a
2
being
meter tall Swedish man on your podcast, and then you're like, yeah, Swedish people, they've grown short.
no,
actually."
that's what I'm saying. All I'm saying is Overwatch players have gotten quite a lot of influence because Tavik is just yeah.
Is he the shortest Swede that you've met? I mean,
He
he's not
is.
a dwar, is he?
No,
No,
he's not.
he's like 5'5", 5'6".
Isn't that taller than you?
No, not at all.
All right, I feel like
I mean, Sebasai isn't the tallest guy either, so.
Oh yeah, it's
All right,
Eversize.
should we
That's
wrap
not
this up?
me and
My,
Swoosh.
We should kill
my
this.
house cleaning just tried to come in, and I just had to shush her. So should we wrap this up? I'm gonna go apologize.
Let's kill
Yeah.
this. Let's kill this.
Listen, it was fun. It was great. It was a wonderful time, but I think this is probably going to be the last Through the Grapevine we ever do.
That he ever does.
Decided we're not
Okay,
good
okay,
at-
before
we're
we
not good
wrap
at
up.
just going through these topics. Yeah.
Before we wrap up, what's with the name?
Through the Grapevine.
Yeah.
Harsha decided it.
No,
not me.
Sideshow decided it.
Explain.
Oh,
Right,
it's
through
a,
the grapevine is a saying in English that means you heard something like
a little birdie told
you
me.
know, like, yeah, like somebody told me
way
this,
back in the
I heard
day.
it.
Way back in
People
the day
did not
when
communicate
it was
through grapevines.
Medieval era, right? Medieval era. think back. They like their
History
wine,
with
they had a lot of
Bren.
grapevines. They like their grapevines. And often, like the nobles, they'd wander around the grapevines and stuff and have conversations. Well, that's a perfect place to spy and gain information. So you'd listen, you'd hear it through the grapevine. You know,
Is this even
You'd
true?
Listen through the grapevine.
I'm pretty sure it's only like the two of you in the Overwatch scene that knows about this saying.
No, it's a very famous English saying, man.
Very famous.
It's
Never
very
heard of
famous.
it.
Super.
Or let
It is.
the comments in YouTube decide, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's finish this up. Let's wrap it up. I want to go to Wendy's. We got a hike to get to as well.
Yeah.
Boom! All right.
Fuck
Thanks
no,
for watching,
sorry,
everyone. I've been Bren Hook. We've got Sideshow here, Jonathan the Problem Larson, and Harsha. GG. Let's finish it up. Wrap it up. Thanks for watching. God, this is wonderful.